The truth is, I didn't want to go. But Camille gave me that look, the one that doesn't ask, beg, or plead. It simply expects. And the quiet expectations? They're always the ones that pierce the deepest, which is how I ended up there. Passing. The historic brick stores and the university clock tower on Durham's meandering roads. Heading, abruptly, into a party I didn't want to attend. Camille's family reunion wasn't just a reunion, even though her mother, Judith, insisted on calling them that. They were performances, yearly theatrical spectacles where every element served as a prop to remind everyone of their roles. This year's star? Ivy, Camille's younger sister, the newest golden child, courtesy of Harvard University. There would be speeches, a cake, at least one uninvited anecdote from Uncle Reuben about how hard work always pays off. And of course, camera flashes. Always the flashes. I looked at Camille in the passenger seat. She could probably recite the entire script. I hadn't even parked the car yet. Her stillness wasn't cold. It was practiced. She fixed her earring, stared into the visor mirror, and measured her reflection. She'd mentioned that morning she didn't want a scene. She wasn't mad I didn't want to go. She just wanted me to arrive, be kind, and be quiet. I didn't tell her that every time I stepped foot in her family's house, I felt like I was wearing someone else's skin. Too tight, itching in the wrong places, and clearly not mine. By the time we pulled up to Reuben's mansion in Raleigh, the sun was already too hot and too high. There were at least a dozen SUVs in the driveway, balloon arches in pink, gold, and white, Harvard colors, I assumed, and even the welcome sign was embroidered. Kudos, Ivy. The font curled like it was trying too hard. I stepped out of the car and instantly felt underdressed. Camille adjusted my collar, then smiled. Not at me, through me. You look fine, she said. Let's just get through this. And so I followed her through the performance. The laughter on Reuben's lawn hit too loud, too fast. The lawn chairs were arranged like a red carpet event. The air smelled of grilled meat and designer perfume. Floating lanterns bobbed in the pool. Strangers I barely knew grinned at Camille and gave me polite nods, as if I were the plus one, as if I hadn't been married to her for 7 years. Reuben waved from across the yard. Judith stood by the grill in a beige suit, regal, like a keynote speaker at a CEO summit. She locked eyes with me, and for a second, I hoped she might offer something warm. But her smile vanished the second Camille hugged her. I stayed back, found a quiet corner near the hydrangeas, poured myself a flat Coke. Ivy didn't even notice us arrive. She was holding court on the patio, Harvard sweatshirt, polished manicure, surrounded by admirers. Gone was the awkward girl who once ate cereal on Camille's bedroom floor. Camille joined me briefly. Thanks for coming, she whispered. I nodded. Don't thank me. Yet. She chuckled. Just keep breathing. So I did, observing, listening, quietly remembering that I've written peer-reviewed journals, taught classrooms full of students, worked construction sites at night to pay for school, while keeping my head down, because I learned some people only look up when they're annoyed. Judith was one of them. Even if the applause was for themselves, her barbs still stung. During the toast, Judith raised her glass. We're so proud of Ivy, she beamed. She always aimed high. And then, loud enough for everyone at the table, she added, some people's husbands are high school dropouts. The table chuckled, not all at once, but enough. Camille tensed beside me. Her fingers curled tightly around her wine glass. Judith didn't blink. She wanted me to laugh along, or cringe, or stay silent. And I almost did. But something shifted. I didn't respond. Not right then. Instead, I smiled. That quiet, unsettling kind of smile. The kind that lingers for hours. I wanted to leave, But maybe silence wasn't the only thing. I brought today Uncle Reuben's backyard looked like a catalog. Not the cheap kind, the curated kind, where each light fixture costs more than my paycheck. Patio lamps spaced perfectly. Jazz music humming just loud enough to be pretentious. I lingered at the edge, sipping lemonade that tasted too sweet. Artificial, just like everything else here. Camille moved through the crowd like water, smiling, nodding, laughing. Perfectly, molded for the scene. I never learned how to do that. From my corner, I watched Judith at the head table, hair flawless, posture royal, a purple pantsuit, wine glass gripped like a gavel. Next to her, Ivy, Harvard sweater, perfect posture, like she'd stepped off the set of a coming-of-age movie. I saw Camille bring over a tray, skewered shrimp and champagne-soaked sponge. Judith took one without thanks. Ivy didn't even look up. I grabbed 2 pastries from a waiter's tray. Mostly out of hunger, partly because I needed something. And then Judith's voice cut through the chatter. Some people's husbands are high school dropouts. Again? Camille froze, eyes open, fists clenched, and I watched the atmosphere shift. Not drastically, just enough for people to notice. I smiled again. Another stone in my pocket. Not today. I stood, slowly, moved a step forward. Ivy blinked, unsure if I was going to praise her or challenge her. I didn't take her hand, not yet, because I hadn't come here for applause. In a steady voice, I began. I dropped out of high school, earned my GED by 17, worked full-time in construction to pay for night school, graduated with honors from community college, got a shot at Duke, earned my master's. Now, I'm on a PhD tenure track. Silence. Beautiful, heavy silence. I didn't marry Camille for appearances, I added. And she didn't settle. She chose me because I never needed a stage. Judith gaped, wine untouched. Ivy blinked. Camille's eyes met mine and softened. I took a deep breath, let it out, and nodded. I picked up my red cup, returned to the edge of the yard, and let the words settle. No microphone drop, no raised voice, just truth. It's funny, I said quietly. Truth falls like ash. And as the quiet rippled through that perfect lawn, I took one last sip of that syrupy lemonade and smiled. I didn't give her anything, and I glanced at Judith once more. So perhaps this applause, perhaps that is what all this celebration is for. Not the brand name on a hoodie or the appearance of ease, but the fact that she showed up and faced challenges for the first time. Maybe Camille's hand finally found mine. I wasn't sure if it was fear or thankfulness, but I didn't pull away when I felt like an anchor amid a stormy ocean. Are you? Finally, Judith spoke in a delicate, slightly shaking voice that exuded regal calm. She appeared smaller now, quieter. Her armor had loosened. I nodded, and suddenly the sound gradually came back. People shifted in their chairs. Conversations resumed in hushed tones. Stiff-legged, as if trying to hold herself together, she left first and made her way to a private area. Camille followed, whispering something to her mother that I missed. She remained silent for a time, standing next to me by the hydrangeas once more. Their eyes were sad. "You could have told me," she said. Yet the air felt changed, as if something long unsaid had finally been named. I nodded, not accusingly, just exhausted, that she was in your class. "I could," I said, because it wasn't about me or us. I asked myself, why didn't you? Then, after everything, it was about her. Discovering who she was. Camille turned to face me, and today I looked back. Judith was sitting on the balcony, arms folded, jaw tight. She didn't speak, but it felt like the perfect moment to remind everyone that genuine progress doesn't come with a round of applause. We stood there a while, both of us watching the lanterns flicker as the light sank behind the tree line. Ivy was likely still trying to make sense of what just happened. Maybe she'd understand. Maybe she'd hate me for it. Nobody knew I taught at Duke. I hadn't come here to win a battle. But I hadn't come here to lose one either. To Camille's family, I was just the guy she married instead of the orthopedic surgeon they had groomed. Her four. The quiet one at dinner. The one who brought his own books to the beach house. The one who didn't know the difference between a centerpiece vase and a wine decanter. And nobody ever cared enough to ask what I did. Honestly, I stopped offering after the third or fourth gathering, which made last night's silence satisfyingly complete. But as I stood in the garden just outside the main event, Ivy's memory of it throbbed in my chest. When we got home, Camille sat silent in the passenger seat, like she'd seen a ghost. We didn't argue. She just kept twisting the ring on her finger, like she always did when her thoughts were louder than her words. We didn't even debrief. And the next morning, oddly,